go to make a change. Nothing will be the same.
Kia ora everybody, welcome back to MIT's online lecture series. Today we have Bob from our automotive team. My name is Stevie and I am the Māori liaison for MIT, and we have also Gina.
Talofa everyone, welcome back to day 2. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like Stevie said, we have Bob from our School of Automotive for Tech Park School, who is going to share with us some info with us today about the program and about himself as well. So first up, Bob, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your time as well. We are excited and happy to have you here with us today. So our first question up, Bob, tell us a little bit about yourself.
G'day team. Yep. Okay, so I'm Bob Morton. I was born and raised in England, and I qualified as an automotive technician back in 1980. After I qualified as a mechanic, I spent a lot of years travelling around the world using that qualification to pay my way, pay my feed and all the rest of it. And I eventually arrived in New Zealand in about 1988 after marrying a Kiwi girl. During the years after that, we had a family and blah, blah, as you do, and I got my own business and ran my own business for a number of years.
Wow.
I also was a service manager for a Mitsubishi dealership, and so I've pretty much done a lot of stuff and worked on a lot of different vehicles. I don't think there's anything I haven't driven, including all the fancy Italian sports cars.
Wow.
I started teaching about 15 years ago. Came to MIT 12 years ago, and now I'm the curriculum lead for the automotive department, which means I look after it from a day-to-day point of view.
Wow. So your experience is very extensive, Bob. We're really lucky to have you, especially our potential students as well. So just in a nutshell, please tell us about the programs that you teach. So the program levels, its location, online learning, part-time, full-time, and if you can, what are the entry requirements for your programs?
All right, so we teach 2 basic programs at the automotive school. One is a trades academy, so that's people who are still at school that think they might want to be part of the automotive world when they leave school. So it's a taster. They come in depending on the which year they're in, either 1 day a week or 2 days a week, and that's a bit of a taster, and that's a really good course. And that leads into quite neatly our full-time course, which is a level 3 entry-level course. So it's aimed at students that have no skills whatsoever in the automotive industry, but also we cater for those that have been working on cars for quite a number of years. The course at the moment is being taught at Otara, but of course we get our fancy new Tech Park facility, a purpose-built building that's currently being built in Manukau, and we hope to be moving in there a bit later this year.
All right. Okay.
Awesome. On that, Bob, what is the percentage, I guess, between theory and practical in automotive?
It's about 40% theory, but the course is laid out somewhat different than what you might expect. All the theory is now done online. It's all online, and all your assessments, all the student assessments, are self-marked by the computer. So you get instant feedback as to whether you passed or failed.
Wow.
And that has a number of advantages, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
Okay. Cool. So, so online 60% and then practicals 40%. Right. Okay. Cool. And entry requirements, Bob?
There are none. It's an open entry course. I guess it would help if you have some interest in the subject. Ideally we want students that want to make a career path in the automotive industry, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be a mechanic or a technician. There are lots of areas that you can work in. There's the retail side of it. We have Repco, Super Cheap Auto, all those kind of places.
Yeah.
There's the parts side of it, where you would be supplying parts to technicians and garages and workshops. So there's also radiators. That's a whole complete field on its own. Steering and suspension can be another field on its own. Wheel alignment, all those kind of things, that comes under that. There's a number of areas that you can work in within the automotive industry.
And one more question, Bob, on the program side of things. Is automotive only for males?
No, absolutely not. Every year we get a number of young ladies that want to come into the course, and some of them actually end up going out and being very good technicians. I like the girls on the course. They don't break equipment, and they're much nicer with clients. So there's a lot of advantages to being female in our industry. And in this day and age, you're not expected to lift anything very heavy. In fact, it's against the rules in most places. So there's plenty of equipment to help you lift the heavy stuff. And there's always a big, strong, strapping lad to help you lift a gearbox if you need to. So,
Cool.
no, that's perfectly fine.
Awesome. And do you have many females on the course at the moment?
Currently, I believe we have about 6.
Wow.
About 6.
That's
so,
cool.
Yeah, quite a reasonable number. We usually get between 6 and 8 a year on the course. So, and what we try to do is group those girls together in classes so that they've got a bit of support, because it can be a bit daunting being the only girl in a big class of guys. So yeah, we try and group them together.
Awesome. So if you're female that's watching and is scared to get into the automotive industry, don't be afraid.
No, come and see us.
Come and see us. Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Bob. Next question up. Tell us a fun fact about yourself.
I like to build and drive race cars. I don't currently have a race car. I have access to 2 race cars, but they're not mine. And 2 years ago, I did have my own race car. It was a highly modified Honda Civic with a big fancy engine in there, and one thing and another.
Awesome.
Thanks for that, Bob. Man, so the next question is about what's the most appealing part about your program. But oh my gosh, there's so many awesome things that I can't even separate my thoughts.
That's all right. I've got it all written down, so I can tell you. Okay. I think the most appealing thing about our course, obviously, if you've already got an interest in the automotive industry, that's a bonus. But it's the ability to be able to learn when you want to learn. So because the theory content is all online, you can do your learning on Sunday afternoon if you wish, or you might have a night shift work or whatever. So you might come in at 2:00 in the morning buzzing, and you can do some study then. It really doesn't matter. You can work when it suits around family commitments. So if you've got children going to school, you can get them off to school first. You haven't got to be in class at 8:00 in the morning yourself. You can get your children off to school and then do your study during the day, etc. So I think that's a really neat thing about our course that will help students and has helped students. We know that's quite significant for them. Once you've finished the theory for a particular topic and you've passed the assessment for it, then you can come into MIT and do the practical for that subject. So every subject, every topic has a theory element and a practical element. Finish the theory, then you come in and do the practical. And the practicals for instance, you'd finish the brake theory, then you would be able to come into one of probably 10 different practicals. You choose which one of those 10 you want to come into. So again, you're able to make that work around your commitments at home as a student. The theory work, although it's done at home, we don't expect students to do it on their own. We're available as lecturing staff every day, so that they can log into this kind of format and have a face-to-face conversation with teaching staff around issues they might be having, something they don't quite understand, etc., etc.
Yeah, that's really helpful, because I myself prefer to have that contact with my lecturer, just to make sure that I'm on track, and just knowing that you're available for students, I'm sure it'll be very useful for them if they were to choose your program. So thank you for that, Bob. Thank you.
That's okay.
Regarding that, Bob, with the change that automotive has taken, I guess since the beginning of this year, how has the change been on our current students in automotive?
Very good question. Most of them have adapted really well, and it has been a big learning curve for them, as well as my staff, actually. It's been quite a challenge to get the idea that they do their own work in their own time at home. It hasn't worked for everybody, I'll be honest. You need to be quite self-motivated. You might be the only one at home during the day because everyone goes out to work. So you have to actually get yourself out of bed and turn your computer on and do the work. And that can be a bit of a challenge for some people, but I think probably a good 90% of our students have found it very, very good. They like it. The feedback we've been receiving has been very positive.
That's awesome. That's good. It's good to know, especially for our school students as well, because as soon as I guess someone thinks about automotive, they think immediately it's in the workshop, it's with others.
Yep.
So then us going out there and promoting automotive and saying that theory is now based online, it can get a bit daunting for some, and people are automatically like, oh, okay, it's meant to be a practical hands-on thing. But it's good that you've reiterated on the benefits of all of this change, and that 90% is a big go for current students to keep going, to stay in the current changes with the automotive program. So thank you for that.
The other side of that is that, yes, we're there to help students online when they have questions, but also we've got staff checking up on them all the time. We're not just leaving you there. We know how often you're online. We know whether you've been actually doing the work.
Oh, that's good.
We're not leaving people. Yes, there is a lot of accountability. We're sending emails, phone calls, texts, whatever we need to do. And Facebook, actually, we have our own Facebook page. We do whatever we need to do to keep people accountable. And overall, it's working really, really well.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Bob. So our next question up, if you were a student on this program, what types of qualities or traits do you recommend they bring with them?
Because it's online, you need to be very self-motivated. You've got to be able to commit. I guess at the end of the day, how bad do you want to pass this course? If you want it bad enough, you get yourself out of bed. And I know that there's some students out there ask that question every morning. Oh, really? Yeah, I want this. So they get themselves out of bed and turn the computer on. So I think self-motivation would be one of the key things. Basic computer skills, huge bonus. We can help with that. So if you've never switched a computer on, it's not the end of the world, but it might take you an extra week or two to get into the feel and learn how to use the software, things like that. But we've learned some lessons as a team ourselves this year, and we've put things in place, video tutorials and things like that we've made in order to help students with that side of things. For the practical part of the subject, it's really important that you don't mind getting your hands dirty. That's what we do. Some of my students wear gloves. Can't imagine why. I can't work with gloves on. However, get your hands dirty. Get them oily.
Nice.
I did have one girl once that came for one day, got her hands dirty, and never came back again.
Oh.
But only one, and that's not bad in 12 years.
Yeah, that's good.
So I think that goes in nicely with our next question. So what are some of the projects that the students get to do while they're in the automotive program, Bob?
It's not strictly a project-based kind of course. However, for every subject, there is a theory element and a practical element. So what that means is if you're doing the brakes module, you'll learn all about brakes online and pass the assessment. Then you will come in and you will strip and rebuild front brake systems, you'll strip and rebuild back brake systems, things like that. And likewise with the engine module, you'll learn all about engines and how they work in theory and watching videos and things like that. But then you'll come into school and you will actually strip an engine down right to its last nut and bolt. You'll put it all back together again and it will start. And if it doesn't start, you get to take it apart again. So they work when you strip them down. Most of the things we pull apart work, and they've got to work when you put them back together. So that's kind of, while we're not strictly speaking a project-based learning system, you do a lot of practical pulling apart and putting back together.
And that must be so fun and exciting for students when they jump on board with this as well. I can just imagine it being exciting for someone that's really passionate about automotive or about cars. Particularly the engine one where they get to fire them up because they're not in cars, they're on the end of a bench. So they start them up on
into this flames and things going. It's great fun. Yeah, they love it.
Are you looking forward to this part, I guess, at your new campus?
Yes, I am. I mean, it's always exciting when students enjoy what they're doing anyway. But being able to do it in a brand new purpose-built building, it's going to be very different to what we're used to. But the whole team's really excited. We're looking forward to that. That'll be great fun.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it too. So hopefully we get to come in tutu for a bit in the automotive part of the new Tech Park building.
Absolutely. We encourage that.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Bob. So currently at the moment, for a qualified automotive engineer or mechanic, what is the current earnings or average salary for that person?
It's a bit difficult to tell. It's quite wide depending on what type of garage you work in. If you're a qualified technician with some experience, though, anywhere between 40 and 50,000 a year, I would imagine. But if you decide to train in heavy industry, in earth moving, mining equipment, things like that, it's not inconceivable once you're qualified to go overseas and earn 150 to 200,000 a year. Wow. So you can earn some very big amounts of money if you don't mind traveling and working really hard, 12 days on and 5 days off and things like that. But as a general technician in this country, probably 40, 50K.
Because I know a lot of our people go to Australia to the mining.
Yeah, they do.
And so this program will be very beneficial for them. Hey, Bob?
Yeah, right. We've had a number of students already do that. And they've come back and bought houses.
Wow, really showing up our people here, eh?
Yeah, they go overseas for 2-3 years, whatever. And then they come back and they've got money in their pocket, or they haven't. They've spent it all and had a great time. And that's perfectly valid as well, in my opinion. Exactly. I didn't save very much money when I travelled around the world. I spent as much as I possibly could.
Come back and start all over again.
Absolutely.
Yep. I guess that goes into our next question about, your students. Do you have one sort of success story from one of your students? What are they doing now? Where are they? And they could be teaching. Can you please share with us, please, Bob?
It's a bit hard to pick out one particular student. Every year we have a lot of students who've never passed anything in their lives. And a lot of them have failed school even. Wow. I failed school, believe it or not. And I've almost got a master's degree now.
Wow.
So it's never too late to learn. I think they passed because of the dedication of the lecturing staff in large part, and not only complete the course, but they go on and they become excellent technicians. But it's really, as I said before, it's about how badly you want something. There was a time I had a student come in. He wanted to be a Ferrari mechanic. So that was quite a big dream. It's not easy to become a mechanic or a technician on these big fancy Italian sports cars. But he worked hard and he got some work experience while he was on the course in Continental Cars, who, amongst other brands, they sell the Ferrari. And he got to know the service manager in the Ferrari workshop and eventually became a Ferrari apprentice.
Wow.
3-4 years later, qualified as a Ferrari apprentice. So he became a completely qualified technician, got to travel all around this country, around the world, fixing Ferraris.
Wow.
So, if you got a dream and you want it bad enough, go for it.
Doesn't that make you proud that one of your students are working, for Ferrari or with Ferrari cars, right?
Absolutely, it does. But then there's other students. We had one young lady.
Yeah.
She was, I think, in her mid-30s to 40s. She had 5 children. One of them had a disability. And she came on our full-time course. She was top student for the year and went out and became a qualified technician. So equally, that's a different dream.
Yeah.
She wanted to do well for a family, and we get lots of people like that too. It makes me proud as a teacher and as a human being that I can help these people achieve their dreams and see my staff help these young people as well. Passionate about what we do.
That's awesome. That's definitely evident in the success stories that you've just told us about the passion of the staff, that you look after in automotive. So that's been Yeah, that's a really nice story to tell. Fun fact, a random question. Describe your few weeks in lockdown, Bob, using one word.
Challenging.
Challenging. Yesterday when we had Case from Maritime, his one was work. So now we've got a
Okay.
new word for challenging.
Yeah. No, it's been challenging. It's been good. It's. I guess we, as the automotive department, were already ahead of the ball game because we were already online with our students
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had a big advantage, but I guess I miss the sitting down and actually talking to somebody across the table. You know,
Yes.
this meeting we're doing right now would have been much nicer if we'd have been in
Yes.
the same room
Yeah.
Absolutely.
with a cup of coffee. But that's okay. We'll get through this, and we'll be able to do that another day.
Definitely.
Definitely. Thank you, Bob. So we're up to our final question. Why choose automotive? Okay, why choose your program? If you were a school student pondering, thinking about leaving school, why would they come to MIT to do your program, Bob?
Because we're the best in the MIT. And I genuinely believe
Best
that.
answer. Yeah.
I think we're very good at what we do. We have, I don't know how many years experience across the staff, but we're all still young enough to actually understand our young people and care about their lives as well. It's not about us just doing the academics with a student. If a student is not doing well on the course, we want to know why. And that might be because they've got something going on in their lives. Now, we can't always help with that issue, but what we can do is maybe help them change the course around and dates the assessments are due and things like that. So I think automotive team are the best because that's the kind of attitude we have. But I'm a bit biased.
That's fine. This is your time to shine. Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Bob. That pretty much brings our little korero with you to a close. So again, Bob, on behalf of everyone that's watching, thank you so much for your time and for your wisdom as well in regards to automotive and automotive at MIT. Thank you all so much. That's to everyone that's watching on behalf of the wider MIT. Thank you so much for tuning in to our day 2. Please tune in tomorrow for our day 3 with this lecture online series. If you do want to know more about automotive, please head over to the MIT website. If you want to get in contact with Bob personally, feel free to give us an email on experience@manuko.nz and we will pass your details on to Bob for him to get in contact with you. Again, thank you everyone for your time. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow as well. Thank you and have a good day.
Thanks, Steve. See you now.
MIT, where the best makers are made.